is saying to me that if I want to really prove him in my business and my life, I need to make the situations impossible.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that one is the one that threw me for a loop. And
Mm-hmm.
I need to make the situation impossible. So it is without doubt that it was him working. Dude, the amount of results I start seeing happening, it's way more than a whole year of running ahead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Way more than a year of running ahead. And here's the thing, running ahead and burning out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, back
Mm-hmm.
then I could have said, "Oh, I made some progress," but I
Right.
didn't make the real progress I wanted to
Right.
make.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And
Right.
in this period, it is how I see things progressing. It's way more easier. The success is more exponential,
Yep.
and it's just a peaceful process that's leading to the success. And the actual success is that God sees that is right for me. God is stretching me, bro.
Hmm.
Yep. God is stretching me. Like last week. All right, last week, it was my wife's birthday.
Yeah.
But dude, I can tell last week a whole lot of just great things happened, honestly. Since like previously I was telling you that there's so much testimony. Like before we came on camera, right? Like I was saying, like there's so much testimonies and stuff to share.
Mm-hmm.
JC, like I intentionally didn't even like text some of these things to you yet because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to share them here,
Mm-hmm.
to share with everybody else, right? But dude, like so much great things. Like God is stretching me. Um, I would say like two major things this week. Um, it has to do with like lessons I've learned from like celebrating my wife's birthday,
Yeah.
and then um a principle that God is showing me, like he wants I think it's like he's helping me to create an experiment
Mm-hmm.
to prove that God exists.
Okay.
And not only am I so weird, because I can tell you, bro, like one of the nights, like I was during the whole week of, preparing and the celebration, everything for my wife. And because I surprised her with like a photo shoot and I
Okay.
brought her to this, yeah, like the Shalom Park and
Yeah.
yep. And she didn't know anything that was gonna happen.
Uh,
Yeah. And funny enough, like yesterday when I was talking with her, she said that I don't know what I have done for her. Like I've
mm,
literally fulfilled a childhood dream for her. Yeah.
mm.
That's what she said to me. I was like, wow.
Wow.
No, for like, because I think for some reason in the back of my mind, it was kind of there because I've heard her, talk several times about different things that she always wants, but I didn't really surface it till when she said it. Like that, what I did was fulfill a childhood dream of hers. I was like, wow.
Mm.
For me, I hear those words.
Mm-hmm.
That alone just made everything that I did just like worth it,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For somebody
Yeah.
to say like you helped them fulfill a childhood dream,
Yeah.
especially your wife, like,
Yep.
oh my dude, like honestly.
Gonna
Um,
be that's gonna be a memorable present for her
mm-hmm.
for years, and of course for you as well, man. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure like maybe you picked up on like you said you picked up on some signals over the
Yeah.
years, you know. Well, you just saying that it brings me back to the fact that how much God is interested in marriages
Mm-hmm.
and how much He will guide us, the ways in which He will guide us specifically to meet the needs of the spouses, you know. And the reason why I say that is because even when I was courting, um, just to be honest a little bit, uh, there's a common conception that men and women are needy, and so if you don't meet their wants or desires,
Mm-hmm.
then there's going to be an issue, you know. And I know you
Yeah.
want to get back to your point, but long story short, what I'm getting at is there have been
No, you're
times
fine.
during
You're good.
my
Yeah.
courtship where in my head I would struggle with that, because sometimes I try to resist the status quo. I try to resist the trends of everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
people say, "Well, a man must get flowers. A man must buy chocolates." I'm like, man, what is this? A man
Yeah.
must do this. Like, how does that really define the
Mm-hmm.
nature of true love in a relationship?
Mm.
So long story short, what I'm getting at is even during my courtship, I had to, deal with that internally. But whenever I would pray and really ask God, like, Lord, show me your plan for so I can, to celebrate my girlfriend, my courtship girlfriend, anything like that. And I would just sometimes I would try to figure it out on my own, but the times in which they would be most impactful would be actually very simple plans, like you said. And so for you and for your wife, for Janelle as well, it's just so amazing how you came up with a great plan, but you didn't even recognize it seems like you didn't recognize it beforehand, the level of impact it would have, which is awesome.
Yep, yep. I didn't actually recognize the level of impact, honestly, until she was recapping everything yesterday because we did the whole thing on Friday.
Yeah.
But bro, I want to tell you, like, it's been a very like eventful week in other great ways and some bad ways. Lessons learned in the bad parts, like the health and sleep and some of these things,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm, mhm,
But overall, like, and during that same week too, on some of the other stuff, like the business stuff too as well, and all those things, dude, some great progress happened on that side.
okay.
Some things happened that I didn't set out to achieve, but just
Mhm,
happened. I tell you the
mhm,
truth. So it's been like in a long while, I can say in a very long while, it's like one of the best week, I believe, for both my wife and I that we've had
mhm,
in in just God filling our week with so much joyous things.
mhm.
Yep. It honestly, it's been one of the best, honestly.
Wow.
No doubt. And from it, JC, there is actually, before I share that with you, I want you to kind of like maybe get into yours. But I'll share two big things that came out of this.
Please, please, yeah,
Yeah, two big things that
please.
came out. You want me to go ahead now, or you want
Yeah,
to?
sure, sure, man, sure,
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So two things.
Mhm,
Like number one, I recognize that like public expression of public love or expression of love publicly
mm, mm,
for your wife,
mhm,
it's more powerful
mhm,
than any amount of gifts you can give her.
mhm, mhm,
But even so, it's more powerful than a million pastors preaching. If you're looking at it from the perspective too of
mhm,
even ministry,
mhm, 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 mhm.
dude, I tell you, like when I brought her to Shalom Park and we're all dressed up and
Mhm.
all that stuff, dressed up really,
Yeah,
she especially like a lot, dressed up
yeah.
really well, and as soon as we walked in, like
Mhm,
attention from all kind of people and
mhm.
people stopping to and so, all taking time out of their busy day
Right.
to pause and to stop and give compliments and talk
Mhm,
and say something,
mhm,
offer to take pictures and a whole bunch of
mhm,
stuff. And it was I was looking at that like yesterday, I was like, because attention is the most important thing of any assets that we have.
mhm,
More important than money, more important than time or energy.
mhm,
Attention is the real currency.
mhm.
And for people like to stop and take time out of their give it their attention, that alone is something like
Right,
more valuable than them giving you the money or
right,
time or energy. And so
right.
I'm looking at this, I'm like, imagine like the thought started building in my mind. Imagine if not just one couple, married couple, were expressing the love publicly for each other,
Mhm.
in obviously right and proper
Yeah, yeah,
ways.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But two or four or eight or 16, whatever, a lot more, 1,000, whatever,
Mhm,
10,000.
mhm,
Imagine that scenario where that is happening, dude. It's you can't miss that. Like it's
mhm.
gonna be undeniable. People will nobody that will capture people's attention like nothing
Yeah.
else. And as you said earlier, it's one of God's best expression, like the thing one of the thing he designed the most that expresses the love that God has. Actually, God even likens his love for his people
Mhm.
to a man and a bride.
Yep. Mhm.
Right? When you
Mhm.
see he does that, it's not lightly. God doesn't waste words, right?
Mhm.
So when I looked at it, I'm like, wow, just expressing the love for my wife is more powerful than any preaching that I could ever do to anybody.
Mhm.
Yep. And I think at some point you even mentioned to like our our first person that we are called as men, and especially married men or men who are
Yep.
going to get married and have a family,
Mhm.
to take care of is the closest person in our house, our wife and our
Right.
children.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
So that's number one thing to it. And then the second thing is this, JC, I got from all of this week. And this touches on the whole like business success things that I've been seeing so far. And
Mhm.
we can get more into that. But a theme that I see from all of this is like God is saying to me that if I want to really prove him in my business and my life, I need to make the situations impossible.
Mhm. Okay. Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm. Mhm.
Dude, that one is the one that threw me for a loop. And
Mhm.
I need to make the situation impossible. So it is without doubt that it was him working. Now, why do I say this, bro? Like during like last week, during everything, the celebration and everything, and the success along that, in my like I was like marinating and just learning a lot, still continue to learn a lot about the life of Elijah.
Mhm.
And over that time, like something caramelized. I guess using the same word because he was on Mount Carmel, and the
Yep. Yeah.
thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
something
Yeah. Yeah.
caramelized, or what's the right word? Caramelized, or caramelized
Yeah.
all of the whole situation from me. Like if you remember that part when Elijah on Mount Carmel, he threw water on the altar
Sure.
on 3 times,
Mhm.
bro.
Mhm.
As if a statement to make to the false prophets and the 450 Baal priests to say, hey, all right, I'm gonna make this thing so impossible according to the world's standard, according to the laws of physics and of nature and all these things,
Mhm.
this altar is soaked. Like, and actually, it said that he created a trench around the
Yep.
whole altar. And so when he
Mhm.
filled the thing with so much water,
Mhm.
like in a time of drought, like there was even water like in the trenches. So you know the thing was
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
soaked. It
Mhm.
was like some little sprinkle, like, oh, let me
Mhm.
sprinkle a little thing there.
Mhm.
And dude, once that happened, and then Elijah prayed to God, and he said the fire devoured every single thing, even the water. And it was from that picture that I saw, like, because maybe days before I had read it, but I don't remember, it was last week. It just really that just landed with me. Like the thought came to mind. Wow, I probably need to make my situations impossible
Mhm.
to see God really work.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because that's
Mhm.
exactly what Elijah did.
Yep.
Exactly, bro. Exactly what Elijah did. And I
Mhm.
tell you, JC, like, since then,
Yeah.
dude, I've been taking so many different steps
Yes,
to actually
sir.
make some cases impossible. And I
Okay.
tell you, even when I made these things, like the thing is happening so fast. I remember telling you, like, hey, last week in the same week, too, so many different successful or opportunities present itself. Um, that has the potential for even a lot more greater things.
Mhm.
But because of that Elijah lesson, it's
Mhm.
like God has showed me that I should use that principle, set it
Mhm.
up, and it has the potential, seem like it has the potential to negate all those opportunities, right? But I'm saying I am going to still go ahead and to really see what happens. So that's
Yep.
why I've been saying, like, I feel like God is stretching me and He's showing me some principles to apply that takes things to another sort of level. And bro, I'm telling you, like, I can list out the things that happened this week,
Yeah.
JC. Oh my. I don't know if I should list them because I've been talking for so long. You probably should
All
get
right,
a
no
chance.
problem, no problem. I jump in, I jump in,
Yeah.
man.
Mhm.
Number one. you said, man, praise God for what has happened last week, and it's awesome. You know, I just jump in because it's awesome when we see the marvelous work that God is doing, even in just the day to day areas
Mm-hmm.
of our lives. You know, going back to
Mm-hmm.
what you said about the um the birthday celebration for your wife,
Yep.
and you know, the public display of love, the public display
Mm-hmm.
of affection.
Yep.
Um, you know, I was just thinking about we, the children of God, being the bride. You know, and how God publicly displayed His love for us on the cross. You know, and when a wife receives that public display of love from her husband, like you said, it does something special for her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because even though there's so many people around, whether it's one person or just zero, but it's not like, it's one thing pretty much to say to someone that you love them in private, but to now say it or to display it via actions in public, I believe for women, it that makes them feel ultra special because they're saying, wow, you, my husband, no matter what's going on around me, you're saying that I'm the center of this love that you're giving to me. You're not
Yep.
distracted by what's going on. And it
Yep.
makes them feel special as women, you know? And then as we speak about even the way God does that towards us, you know, um, it's powerful because once we see God work on our behalf, once we see God display his love toward us as his bride in a public way, whether it's professionally or personally,
Yep.
you know, we feel special. We're like, wow, like, you know, yeah, like other people are seeing that. Wow, God really loves you, you
Yep.
know, and it's pretty awesome. And then what you said about how it impacts the people around as well. I believe from a
Mm-hmm.
practical standpoint, when people see love being displayed, I honestly believe that we've decreased in the amount of public displays of just true and pure love that we see,
Yep.
you know, nowadays,
Yep.
right? So I believe when people see that, it causes them to pause. We have
Yep.
so many things that are counteracting love nowadays.
Yep.
So many things. We turn
Yep.
on the news, people turn on the news and they see crimes. You know, there's so many things that
Yep.
are going against love, but we don't see a lot of things that are um, upholding or
That's true.
promoting love. And I think it just causes people to just pause a little bit and just appreciate this moment, appreciate this husband and wife. They don't even know if you both are married, right? But just
Yep.
appreciate
Exactly.
this display of love. They probably can
Yep.
assume, oh, there's a little boy, so there's a family. Like, just appreciate that. And it goes to
Yep.
show that these are the things that really matter to us as human
Mm-hmm.
beings.
Of
They
course. Yep.
touch us. We recognize a
Yep.
lot. Let me just stop and appreciate this really quickly. And sometimes it causes people to just, you know what? This is what matters. This is what
Of
matters in life,
course.
you know?
At the end of the
And
day.
at the
Yep.
end of the day, you know, and so the
Yep.
compliments come, you know, hey, you guys look so good together, you know,
Yep.
wow, so beautiful, you know, how long have you been,
Yep.
was there a special occasion, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I can attest to that. The first time I experienced that was when my fiance and I took our engagement photos and we were in a public
Mm.
space and the people just coming by. And of course, me in my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, people always say this. But
Mm.
afterwards, I thought about it, like, you know what? It's a blessing that we were placing smiles on people's faces. And all we were
Amen.
doing is doing something
Yes.
simple. You know, we didn't intend
Exactly.
to do. We just happened
Yep.
to be in a place where other
Yes.
people can see
Yep.
and smiles being placed. So I like how you said that. That is greater than any other sermon because people remember that instance.
Of course.
People
Of
say, you know what, we
course.
went to Shalom Park today, and there was just such a nice family there.
Yep.
And they just took the time out to just show love to one another, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So that's awesome.
Yep.
And then the second thing you mentioned about God showing you that you need to go into the realm of doing the impossible. You know, I
Yes.
would add to that as well
Yep.
that I believe God wants us to get to the place, and He's taken us to the place where what's considered impossible for man is not even a
Yep.
hindrance for God, you know?
Exactly.
So, like you said, a drought was happening at that time when
Mm-hmm.
Elijah and all these people were on Mount Carmel to
Yep.
to have this showdown, you know?
Yep.
And Elijah really he called for it. He was the one who initiated it. He said, "Okay,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
you all or not, you know, being
Yep.
devoted to God. Okay, let's just
Yep.
prove God. I'm
Yep.
calling for this showdown.
Yep.
Everyone show up, you know?
Yes.
So
Yep.
now there's center stage. God is being placed on the stage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Elijah's the one saying, I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
God is going to prove himself today. All you people know God too. Even the
Mm-hmm.
king. You're an
Mm-hmm.
Israelite. You know God. Why are you
Yep.
turning away? Right? And
Yep.
so now all the attention is there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so amazing how God is just watching what's happening
Yep.
while one man is standing up for him. But he's not standing in his own strength. He's standing in the faith
Exactly.
that he has in God. I
Yep.
like that you pointed out that the fact there was a drought going on as well.
Yep.
Because where
Yup.
did he get
Yep.
all this water from?
Exactly.
There's a drought happening, right?
Man, I tell
For,
you.
for
Yeah.
us, we would say, man, why are you wasting all this water?
Mm-hmm.
We need
Mm-hmm.
this water, man. Like,
Not yeah, it's
what
like you'd be like, oh, this is not sensible. This is
right,
illogical. Save the
right.
water, give this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, come on, we're supposed to be rationing water. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Elijah, in that moment, he recognized that God controls everything.
Exactly.
And so, even from a human standpoint, there are limitations.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't subject the situation to the limitations around
That
because he
is
knew
it.
that God was present.
Amen. Yep.
And then we see even after that, the drought continued actually,
Mm-hmm.
and the water disappeared. So it's very possible that some people saw the fire, some people saw the sacrifice being consumed, and all the
Mm-hmm.
water in the trench being licked up. And some people
Mm-hmm.
could have thought that was the water we're supposed to use to bathe tonight. That was nice, but come
Yeah.
on, man. That was the water we're supposed to
Yeah.
use to like. Oh,
Yep.
come on, what did you just do with this water? And then miss
Yeah.
the point.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
Mm-hmm.
shows that as human beings, we can limit ourselves to what we consider possible and impossible
Mm-hmm.
if we don't recognize that God works, that what we consider impossible is no hindrance for God.
Yep.
Long story short, you know.
Yep.
So those are beautiful points. I'll just segue into
Okay. Yep.
my week. It's been a busy week. A few good things have happened. That conversation with the former VP.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just share this.
Yep.
We had a great conversation 2 weeks ago, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he had told me that he was going to send an email with some important information for me to look at, to get, pretty much to summarize what we discussed, and then also to for me to consider, what he's proposing, right?
Yep.
So the week began, and I didn't receive any email. So now the world's way, the common way, the human way of like, oh, maybe you should follow up. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
he's testing you. Maybe
Yeah.
he's trying to see how interested you are,
Yeah.
what's coming in, right? Just here and
Yeah.
there. But of course,
Yeah.
coming off of our 8 days of prayer, that was just like a small thought.
Mm.
And as the Lord would help me to submit that thought to him, then the thought, you know what, it's fine. The thought would come up,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's fine. So eventually there was a day when I was thinking, maybe I should just reach out to him. On that exact day, he texted me. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's been hectic, yada yada yada.
Mm.
I plan to get you that email as soon as possible to
Wow.
summarize what we discussed. So I
Mm.
responded back to him, "Oh yeah, I was meant to reach out to you as well, but thank you so much for contacting me." And eventually, the email did come last week. But during that time, that time was needed because I
Mm-hmm.
needed the time to pray, to really listen to God, to analyze those points that you had given me, to
Mm.
take this time. And so, once again, coming back to recognizing that God is in control
Yep.
from a human standpoint, I could be thinking, oh, well, maybe I'm supposed to follow up here.
Yep.
But
Yep.
if I remain at that level, I could completely overlook the fact that God is saying, this is what you're supposed to be doing during this time.
Mm.
Solidify the plan with me so
Yep.
that once the conversations do advance, you already know what I want. You already know
Yep.
my will. So you can surrender yourself to my will and follow that pathway. So um that conversation is now active, it's
Mm-hmm.
ongoing, and I appreciate your reminder. Look and listen step
Yep.
by step. It
Yep.
can be easy to want to rush to the end,
Yep.
but I'm seeing how God is just showing me step by step. So even from a partnership standpoint, one of my plans is to not even to jump into that. Obviously, we've already spoken about that wouldn't be the ideal, um, but and to not pretty much the approach would be that I'm sensing God, sensing that God is directing me to take is to see how that service, like you said, can be provided to
Mm-hmm.
help. As long as it doesn't conflict with anything God has directed me to do right now, and then as he and I begin to work together and we get more time and opportunity to speak about God, to speak about our belief, to see if we really align from a belief standpoint, from an obedience and a submission standpoint to God, all the
Yeah.
principles and commandments that God has given us, to see if we align there. If we align there, then the conversation about ownership, real partnership
Mm-hmm.
ownership, can happen.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, we won't go that far. So once again, this step
Mm.
by step, so that's
Yeah.
happening.
Great. That's the
Um,
surveying, like as Nehemiah did. You're surveying and seeing what's happening before
definitely,
committing to the full build. Yep.
definitely, definitely,
Hmm.
definitely, definitely. I shared with you the big meeting that I had as well, with the
Yep.
overseas team and the big company. So shared about that. But one big thing happened yesterday in regards to the
Mm.
house, this house opportunity. So my fiance came up this weekend, obviously, for that
Hmm.
purpose.
Hmm.
I saw the house last week. She and I spoke about it, and then she said, "You think I need to come up to see it?" I said, "Yeah, I think you need to come up so that we can really
Kind of
look into
figured
it."
that was part of it, like logically, it makes sense. Yeah,
Definitely,
because we chatted
definitely.
before with the whole thing. Yeah.
Right, 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 right. So she came up, and thank God that her feedback was positive. Her
Okay.
feedback was really positive. Um, and even the visit, the homeowner was there. The woman who's a widow, she was there. A friend was there as well, and it was a positive visit, like a very nice interaction, to the point where the homeowner at the end, she's like, "Oh, I'm so happy that I'll be selling my house to, like, a nice couple type of thing."
Mm.
And of
Yep.
course, I just praise God for that. And it goes to show that when God is involved with something, the blessings go beyond just his children. I'm
Mm.
not claiming to say that we are better than anybody, but we do claim the last name, like you said. We claim being a part of the family of God.
Yep.
And it was a very nice interaction with her. And so now the big challenge now, which I'm going to segue into my next point, the big challenge right now is just figuring out how to make it happen, and not figuring it out, but seeking God's wisdom and how to make it happen.
Mm.
Because the type of deal that needs to occur in terms of
Yep.
financing and everything like that, she has a preference, and of course we have our preference. So we need to
Mm.
figure out how all that's going to work out.
Yep. Yep.
While at the same time not making this process stressful for her, which I communicated to her last time. So that's pretty much how the week went, and that's how I'm starting this week. And that what I just said about the house is the main challenge going into this week now. Just seeing how everything will come together. But I know God already has a plan, and
Hmm.
I know He will lead. So the big lesson that I learned prior to this meetup comes from Genesis 18, and in Genesis 18, the Lord visits Abraham. And what stood out to me is that at the beginning of that chapter, um, Abraham is sitting in the door of his tent,
Yep.
and he sees three men. And of course, he hosts them. He prepares food for them. He has his wife prepare something for them as well,
Yep.
and he lets them eat. They're there, they eat,
Yep.
and then of course the Lord says that Sarah will give birth to a child.
Hmm.
And after she laughs in her heart, and then the Lord says, "Why do you laugh?" And she said, "I didn't laugh." And he said, "Yeah, you did laugh." All these things happen, right?
Yeah.
And the visit ends, and as a typical host, Abraham is walking them, away, and then the Lord says, "Should I hold back from Abraham what I plan to do to Sodom?" So no, I can't hold it. That this actually happens. Like, it's as if the Lord is having a conversation within himself. Should I hold back, you know,
Mm.
from Abraham what I plan to do? And then of course the conversation ensues between Abraham and God, where they talk about, well, Abraham says, there's 50 people, 45 people, righteous people. Will you
Yep.
preserve the city? And then the chapter ends, the last verse of the chapter ends saying, the Lord goes on his way and Abraham goes on his way. So they part ways, right?
Yep.
What stood out to me was how personal God is. And
Yeah.
the short sentence that comes to mind is, when God visits, do we host? Because we
Oh,
think
wow.
about it as men,
God
Abraham was going
visits. Do
through
we
a lot.
host?
Yes, my bro. When God visits, do we
Let me say it
host?
again. When God visits, do we host?
Right,
No, that's yeah, that's
right.
a great one because God can be visiting and we're not hosting, so he can't
Yes,
stay. Hmm. Yeah,
We don't
that's great, bro. Go ahead. Yep.
we don't abide. We don't
Yep.
abide. We don't
Yeah.
commune, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't host his presence, host him, right?
Yep. Yep.
So there are a lot of details to this, but I'll just boil it down, in the interest of simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
What stood out to me is that Abraham, as a man at that point in his life, had a lot going on. Sometimes it's easy as a man for us to read the Bible and not recognize how much these individuals, these men, were carrying, unless
Mm-hmm.
it, unless it's explicitly mentioned in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
For Abraham, at this point of his life, he's dealing with what people call baby mama drama.
Mm-hmm.
He's dealing with managing his entire people, his servants, and everything like that. He's
Yeah.
dealing with a wife who's tied up with the baby mama drama.
Mm-hmm.
He's dealing with a wife who's probably not feeling too well because she's older and now there's a child and there was a promise, and having to
Mm-hmm.
deal with the healing from all of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's also in a new territory. So like you, Kumar, as I've said, he didn't have family members right around him. So it's
Mm-hmm.
only
Mm-hmm.
God.
Yep.
Um, he has his nephew, sorry, his nephew or cousin. I don't remember. It's his nephew or cousin.
Nephew, Lot. You're talking about
Nephew,
Lot?
yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He has his nephew in a city nearby, and there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of evil. So there's a lot going on. It's a lot that he's
Mm-hmm.
probably carrying. A
Yep.
lot, you
Yeah.
know?
Remember, Abraham is pretty much a king of a nation. You could say he's a CEO of a business. He had people that were
Definitely.
dependent on him, like so many
Definitely.
different things. He had
Definitely.
family life issues. You remember the baby mama drama, his company or his country, whatever, it has problems, a whole bunch of stuff. And his family, his beloved nephew, had problems in another city. So yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff going on around him,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he's responsible for providing for everyone as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the chapter prior to chapter 18 um, contains, some information about Ishmael, which we know was his son who was
Mm-hmm.
born not of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's so amazing that God visits him even though he messed up,
Uh-oh. Dude, you're
you know?
saying some things that let me let you continue because my wife been saying something to me. Like I'm just gonna say it's in the same Genesis too. It's
Mhm.
a pattern with God. It's not a one-off thing. Let me just share it real quickly.
Yep.
Cain
Mhm.
killed his brother Abel.
Mhm.
And when God put a mark on him, bro, you remember Cain asked God, well, and God says every man's hand's gonna be against you, they're gonna want to kill you, you're gonna be a vagabond, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And Cain said to God, but if that's the case, then everybody's gonna kill me. Like they're gonna kill me, Lord. Like, you know? And even in that, Cain, who did not deserve any mercy, what did God do after that? God said he's gonna put a mark on him, but also any person that touches him,
Mhm.
they're gonna have problems with God.
That's right. That's right.
Even though Cain was a murderer, the first
Yep.
murderer, and
Yep.
the worst kind, one
Yep.
that killed his own brother.
Yep.
But it's a pattern with him. Like
Yep.
it's not a one-off situation with God. And I can show you multiple different places.
Yep.
Dude, it shows and goes beyond how God is a different sort of being. It's
Mhm.
he's beyond our even understanding in his
Mhm.
love and mercy and also his justice.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
No,
But
definitely.
go
I
ahead.
mean,
Sorry, I just had to put that in because
no, I appreciate that because if we inject something really quickly right there, like you said,
yeah,
King was the first murderer, right?
yeah.
That means every murder after him, after his, we could almost say that he kind of set the example for that.
And Cain said example. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay.
prior to him, no one was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
But when he murdered everyone after him, he could probably carry the weight of or the guilt of wow, there was no murder before mine.
Yep.
And I look around, oh, another one happened.
Yep.
Another one happened. You
Yep.
know, and even when people think about what's going on in our life, no human being was killing another human being. Like, well, Cain was the first one, you
Yeah.
know? So there's a lot going on, but yet, like you said, God still said, I'm gonna show you mercy.
Yep. And it ties back to what you were saying with Abraham, and even though he messed up, God. Yep.
God visited him. God came to
Yep.
commune with him, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
so much, we can look at the three men who they signify and everything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just interesting that God would pay him a visit.
Mm-hmm.
Pay him a visit. and sit
Yep.
down and eat, right?
Mm.
And then bless him, pretty much say, your wife will receive a child. According to
Yes.
the time of life and year your wife will receive. It's like just blessing him, you know?
Yep.
God's coming so close to him, even though he messed up. You know, he took God's plan into his own hands and created a whole bunch of issues which now still exist today. God came
Yep.
by and visited him. And then God was willing to reason with him, even reason with Sarah.
Yep. Yep.
Sarah was saying, no, I didn't laugh in my heart, but God, yes, you did, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And then when it came down to Abraham, you know, Abraham's like, please, like, please don't be angry. Like, if there's just, you know, there are 20 people, please. And he's willing to have that conversation with him,
Mm-hmm.
willing to show him what his plan is, willing to
Mm-hmm.
show him that, yeah, I'm warning you that something bad is going to happen to the city where your nephew resides.
Yep.
And I just look at that and say, wow, whatever we have going on, Abraham had a lot going on, a lot
Mm-hmm.
going on. Abraham made his mistakes as well. God doesn't hesitate to visit. The question is, when he
Yep.
comes to visit, do we host him?
Ooh,
Because what I
yes,
would
bro.
imagine is that
Now that
while,
hits even deeper. It is shows. Yeah, when God comes to visit, do we host? Yep. Yeah, he could be coming to visit for multiple reasons, but the key
for sure,
part of what will determine our outcome is if we are hosting.
for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that after that visit, Abraham returned to his tent with a
Yes.
deep level of peace.
Yep. Yep.
Number one, because he's in the presence of God.
Mm-hmm. True.
Remember, he's the CEO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's leaning on him.
Mm-hmm.
Whom does he have to lean on?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing, you know, and it's so amazing how God sees us as human beings and our needs, right?
Yep.
It's one thing to be able to call your boss or your advisor, your chief advisor, your mentor, you know, and talk to them every day.
Yep.
It's another thing when your mentor comes into town and visits your house.
Yeah.
You get a chance to take a drive with them, but you're in the same presence space as the person, right? And we see that happening, you know. Abraham once again had a lot going on, and now God is present physically, and he's able to speak to the Lord as he visits. And I could just imagine how much peace he had going back to his tent, you know, after that, right? So what comes to me is that even though I have a lot going on, you know, and I'm nowhere close to Abraham, you know, I'm nowhere even close to you, my brother, in terms of responsibility
That's
and being a
good.
husband and a father, you know. We
We
all
don't
have
have
our
to be
different,
close to the only person we
yeah,
need to be close to is Jesus. That's it. We don't have to
amen,
be close to each other or
amen,
far
amen,
away or whatever. Jesus is the
amen,
standard,
amen,
you know?
amen,
Yeah.
bro. So
Mm-hmm.
the lesson I take from it is God comes to visit all of us, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Do we host? Do I host them? Because if I
Mm-hmm.
do host them, it doesn't matter what's going on. You
Yep.
know, there was some bad news that was brought during that
Yes.
visit,
Yep.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
But once we recognize that we as men don't have to carry that news alone,
Yep.
that God is there for us, there's a relief.
Yep.
There's
And
a
what you're
relief.
saying, bro, is 100% correct. It's no matter how bad or thing we think we've messed up, it's a matter of really do we host when God comes for whatever reason, whether if it's to correct us or advise us or lead us on the right path. The key is do we actually host him so that he can do the work? Do we abide
Mhm.
to so that or let him abide with
Yeah.
us so that he can do the work? And I'm happy you brought it up because one of the key thing I experienced this week, JC, and not just me, it was a for me, I tell you, this week has been so much tremendous blessings. It's
Yeah.
not just even like the business opportunities or whatever opportunities are coming that has good economic impact. But there's one thing throughout one of the experience too that really um stood out to me a lot. And my wife said this to me. She said like she's often hear me talk about how God has been working in my life, and because you remember some of those events I went to and I told you how
Yep.
it's like I was in the
Yep.
passenger seat
Mhm.
of a car,
Mhm.
and God is driving and he is steering and guiding everything,
Mhm.
and it's like he already went ahead and prepared the way for me.
Mhm.
But this week my wife was able to sit in the back seat and see that exact experience. She was able to see that experience from something that we had this week.
Mm.
And she said, wow, I've heard you talk about this so much, but seeing it, it's a different thing. And hearing her say, hey, she sees for real that God is doing some, like when your wife come to you and say she believes that God is leading your life, dude, that is the highest praise you can get from
Of
anybody.
course. Of
Because
course.
she's the person who knows you the most.
That's right.
And she said to me, like, Kim, yeah, I don't, yeah, I've heard you talk about all these things, but I saw it for myself today. I'm gonna share with what she saw.
Yo.
Um, so after I did her the surprise photo shoot for her.
Mhm.
At the same day, Friday, it was Friday. I you remember this man that I told you that one night I was doing some work and I was praying the day before and asking God, Lord, I want to make my business work. Just lead me to something, like show me what is that I should do.
Mhm.
And during that early morning, I was doing some research. I don't know. I was doing something for, like, set up to do some outreach or something
Yeah.
like that, some client acquisition work. And I remember when I was doing the research, I landed upon this man's, this professor's
Yeah. At
profile
CF.
at
Mm-hmm.
CF at
Mm-hmm.
College of Central Florida.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I told you that, and I told you that I felt in that moment when I was reading through that man's profile, I was like, something just like came over me and told me, this is the guy I want you to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna talk to him. Go talk to him. And I remember telling you, like, during the 8 days we're having, that I have to talk to that man.
Yes.
So I finally did reach out to him, and Friday we had set the time to talk. But I knew Friday was also gonna be like the
Right.
celebration day for my wife's
Right.
birthday.
Right. Right.
And so I asked her, should I still take this? And she was like, yeah, take it. Don't let my, day
Mhm.
stop it. Take it. So I set a time with the professor for 1 p.m. But I still said I'm gonna make sure that she has a great experience throughout the
For
day.
sure.
And so we got up early. I planned out everything, and we got there. It was like 10:30 that I had the surprise photo shoot for her and all this stuff and
Yeah.
everything. And everything ended like at 12:30.
Okay.
Took me like about, I was in already in near a call, so like 18
Yeah.
minutes drive to there. Met the professor, JC. And I walked into the professor's office, didn't see him. So I went and I saw his lab. There's a student in there. The student took me to where he was. He was talking with some other students. I waited for like 5 minutes. He came over. We started talking, greeting, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Introduced my
Mm-hmm.
wife to him, everything. Sat in his office.
Mm-hmm.
And JC, for about an hour or so, the professor, let me tell you the truth. I thought I was gonna have to go in and I'm gonna have to tell him about myself, sell myself, and all this bunch of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, JC.
Mm-hmm.
JC, I
Mm-hmm.
tell you the truth. Like, I told my wife the other day, it was like the professor was selling himself to me. And it was like I asked him the question, why should I hire you?
Yeah.
I literally, like, I was just in the passenger seat just watching everything happen. And I'm happy this time my wife came with me so that she could be in the back seat and see, so that I'm not hallucinating and making
Wait,
things up.
did you actually ask that question?
No, I did not ask that question, but I said
Okay,
it's
okay. But
like
see, like
that.
that. Got you. Got you.
Yeah, even you could ask her. She says like it's
Yeah.
like she was confirmed. Yeah, it's like that. Because for the
Yeah.
whole, like, we did a whole hour and a half,
Yeah.
and the professor is like God already went ahead and told him that I'm the person,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like he jumped over everything and he was like, yeah, you're the person. I'm like, I actually said it to him. I said it to the professor, like, at some point throughout. Um, I told him that I think it's like God sent me here to talk to you. And he said something, well, you might be right. He says a lot of people to talk to me for some reason. That's
Yeah.
what he
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
know, I mean, I don't know what he meant by that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. For
you
sure.
know, but the way how at this point right now, it's like the professor just he wants to hire me for some, and I didn't go short for any of that, JC. I was just going up to show to see what, like, I had some idea that, oh, this person's in this space, maybe I could collaborate with it or something could happen. I showed up, I didn't expect, I told him point blank, I didn't show up expecting you to be offering me pretty much an adjunct professor
Mm-hmm.
position. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, and that's just one thing of another of many things, JC. Like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
but
Yeah.
from that though, I remembered. I remember from like the week before, in our 8 days, I said this to you that the 8 days that we did together reminded me of how God really works in my life, or maybe how He works in everybody's life. But I recognize that when God is ordering your steps and working out things for you, you don't have to kick down any doors. You just need to show up and abide and do what He said you should do. And it's like the easiest success you'll ever have. I went in there thinking I was gonna have to do an interview, pretty much. Like, you showed up like for a job or something. Until this moment, I didn't even say in much. Like, an hour and a half conversation, I probably only spoke for like 5 minutes.
Wow.
Honestly.
Wow.
Yep. I'm like, woo. And I had told my wife this, because from the 8 days, I was seeing that this is how God works. Because I was looking at the history and the journey of my life, how I got into engineering, got into Intel, got into college even before Intel, all those things, JC. It has always been, yeah, there's something I have to do. I have to show up and make sure I do my part. But
Yeah.
most time it has never been me grinding or kicking down the door
Mm-hmm.
as the world says, the
Mm-hmm.
conventional knowledge of what
Mm-hmm.
they say you should do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Mm-hmm.
easiest success I've had in my whole life. And the successes too are outsized. Like the amount of effort you put in to get
Right,
the
right, right.
outcome is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
small.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
so small. That's why I say it's the
Mm-hmm.
easiest success,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
dude. But I'm just happy that my wife was able to be there to experience it and
Yeah,
see it, so
yeah.
that way I know I'm not hallucinating. I'm not hallucinating, because sometimes we will get crazy
Yeah,
and hallucinate and think all kind of
yeah,
stuff. But I'm happy she was there in the back seat, seeing everything what was happening, and then in the end she could say to me, "Yep, you've told it, you've said it, and I see it from my
yeah,
own eye, with
yeah,
her own
yeah.
eyes,
Right, right,
not
right,
me
right.
saying it to her." And so that
Right.
again was another additional great, like, even birthday experience. So I think so much things happen, because he even said it has been her greatest birthday experience ever in her whole life.
Yeah.
Um, whether when she's been with me or even not with
Wow,
me. Yeah.
wow, wow,
Because
wow.
I told her, dude, let me pause here, because I don't want to give away all everything at
No,
once and
man.
overwhelm you or us with
No, man, go
the
ahead.
folks that are going to be listening to this with all the great
Okay.
things. But yeah, dude, it is. And I know during that too as well, there's lessons and stuff that I still need to learn. And I say all this to tie back to what you're saying, that I'm in no way perfect in the sense of like my abiding or my faith, and because sometimes I still run ahead or and do stuff that gets become fearful, and that causes me to sin and so many other things.
Hmm.
But I recognize that doesn't stop God from still showing up.
Yeah.
But thankfully, as we've seen from and discussed from those 8 days that we did before, that the key is not about us. It's about abiding, pretty much hosting God. That's what it comes down to. And He'll take care of everything. So it's not a matter of like people, you think you have to be perfect in everything for God to show. If God waits on us to be perfect, He will never show up for any of us.
Of course not.
He will
Of
never
course
show
not.
up.
Of course not.
Never.
And it's when we host him, when he
Hmm.
comes, he does the perfecting work, as we know. You know,
Yes. Hmm.
if we try to, perfect ourselves, we're gonna burn ourselves out. It's guaranteed.
Hmm.
We're gonna get
Hmm.
tired. We're gonna get yeah. But like you said, when we let God lead,
Hmm.
our effort is to show up. Our effort is to be present, and He
Yep.
takes care of the rest. You know,
Yep.
because once
Yep.
again, going back to Abraham's situation, just that one visit changed everything.
Yep.
Abraham didn't have to go on a long journey to go find God. He didn't have to go, you know, hike, some long distance through a desert and put forth all this human endurance just to get, to go see God. And
Hmm.
a lot of times when it comes to religion, of any religion, we as human beings, we put that in there. That in order for you to receive, you've got to put in.
Hmm.
And the more you put in, the more you're going to receive.
Hmm.
We see
Works-based mindset. Yep.
works based all the time, right?
Hmm.
But even in the story in Genesis 18, all it was God decided to show up one day.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham was going about his day-to-day business,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sitting in the door of his tent.
Mm-hmm.
He sees three men.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you mind if I host you? I believe he recognized who that is the Lord's presence, who that was now coming to be with him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And everything that happened or the outcome of that circumstance was all credited to God. All
Yep.
Abraham did was host and be
Yep.
present,
Yep.
you know? You could have easily, like, Martha could have run up and down and not take the time to just sit and abide and let
Mm.
God do the perfecting, let God do the change. And of course, we know that in that one instance, the things that were changed, there were other things that would need to be changed still, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Abraham wasn't perfected in that one visit. But
Exactly.
we see how God
Yep.
works with us, you know? And once
Yep.
again, it's another principle for business as well. There are times when we want things to work like this,
Yep. Yep.
but you and I have both seen that in the 8 days that, we don't want that rush ahead mind, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And when we let God take care, He's taking care. And the final thing I'll say is that if God is in control, once God is in the driver's seat, it doesn't matter what the pace is.
Dude,
We as
it doesn't
humans will
matter.
say,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
taking forever, man.
Yeah. Or you're lazy and you're moving too
Lazy.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say like you're not, yeah. I've heard people even say it to me recently in the wedding planning season. Or even prior to that, yeah, you've been praying a lot,
Mm.
don't think you should make a move. And of course, they're not in the conversation between God and me. And I'm not
Exactly.
sensing the signal that God is saying to move. But long story short, even for those, some people may be concerned that, man, I'm not making it work. I'm not living the way I should.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get over this really quickly. I want to overcome.
Mm.
Even for
Yep.
us, even for us in our businesses, we were there
Yep.
too. We wanted,
Of
man, I want to
course.
get to this level ASAP,
Yes. Yep.
But for Abraham, that visit was just maybe a day, maybe a couple hours, right? What God wanted to change or what God wanted to the impact that God wanted to occur during those hours occurred. And that
Mm-hmm.
was God's plan for that day. And so what I'm learning is that, and we know this as well, if we're in God's hand, that's all that matters. Even in life, if God is perfecting us
Mm-hmm.
and we don't think we've reached yet,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's because we're thinking, I want to be at this place. But
Yep.
what God wants is for us to just simply be in His hand.
Yes. Yes.
Not about the
Yep.
place, just to be in His hand. Once we're in
Yep.
His hand, He will take us. He will take
True.
us.
Yep.
If we're in His hand when He returns, we're good. It's
Mm-hmm.
better to be in His hand when He returns than to be rushing to go do something on our own and
Yes.
just step out of His hands. And we
Dude,
can easily step out of His hand when we have good intentions. I'll leave that.
true. It is, it's one of the God, everything is in the Bible for like some of these problems we face today in the professional world, people facing their job or their business, that burnout. What you just said a while ago, that's a solution for burnout, right? Because a lot of times burnout happens when we are running ahead, especially if it's happening to people who like us who believe in God. When it's happening, is because most times we're running ahead of God. We're not allowing God to set the pace. We're running ahead, and having that run ahead mind instead of the submitted mind.
Mhm,
Right. And at the same time, we discussed we don't want to have the standstill mind because that's a different sort of mind.
mhm,
Neither the run ahead mind, but the submitted mind.
mhm,
And burnout is happens because of that. Because as you mentioned too, yes, I was in this like before all these fast, like exponential changes and like opportunities coming for my business and for me. Before that, I was going pretty much my own way in
mhm.
following what the world says is the best practice to do
Right,
certain things and all these
right.
different stuff. That's what I was following. But I tell you the truth, everything shifted for me when we did that 8 days of coming together or abiding session. And I got into the word and I started seeing God's principles of how he led his people
Mhm,
in the past. And it prompted me to remember how he has also led me in the
mhm, mhm,
past.
mhm,
'Cause I was
mhm,
forgetting
mhm,
all of those stuff.
mhm,
God's
mhm,
movement in my life. I was forgetting those things. And it was that
mhm,
8 days that we did that helped me to remember about these things. I'm like,
mhm,
ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it happening again now. Like I see it showing up again. JC, the professor was even already offering to give me business clients. He at one point he even said like, if we have a client, no worries, I will be willing to come and work with you and help you out where needed. I'm like, what? This person doesn't even know me. Like, what's going on here? Literally, he when I told him what I did, he went to his email and said, "Oh, wait a minute. I remember somebody reached out to me that they wanted some help on something, and he was searching his email to see if it was something within my
Yeah.
expertise." And like, oh, he
Yeah.
found that it wasn't. But he said, "No worries,
Yeah.
don't worry about that." Started telling me he's on this board and the board manufacturing board and throughout Florida and some bunch of other different boards. He's
Yeah.
like, "Don't worry about it. You're gonna be like literally telling me." Just come work for me as an adjunct professor and
Yeah.
everything will be fine. I'm like,
Wow.
the first time I met this person was that day, JC.
Right.
Like,
Right.
never had a phone
Right.
call.
Right.
The only thing I sent him was an email.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, right? I'm like, this professor is working for me like he knows me. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this can't be anything but, and I said, even before that, I felt a strong presence. Like, God was saying, but you know me, I'm a very analytical person. So even though I felt the presence,
Mm-hmm.
God knows in my heart, I'm still not gonna say yes, it is
Mm-hmm.
Him,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Thomas, but if I'm supposed
But
to err, I'm more likely to be a Thomas,
yeah, I understand. I
because
understand. I understand.
I
You
like
want to verify.
yes, I like things verified.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the nature of the engineering mind, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I like things verified, and so but God works with me. He knows that I'm that person. I don't do it because
Right.
I don't want to believe Him.
Right. Right.
I do it
Right.
because
Right.
I want to be. When I say it, I can say with confidence that it
That's
is
right.
Him.
That's right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I know some people just work based on feelings about God.
Mm-hmm.
I will feel too, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't just let my stop at feeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, God knows how to work with me, and He gives me whatever evidence I need to say it is Him. Um, and He works with me. But dude, God is like. But yeah, before all that, I was doing my own thing, running ahead. But here's the thing. Yeah, this point I wanted to land here. During my period of running ahead, I never made any of the amount of progress
Right. Right. Right.
than I have made in just like when did you and I start this 8 days? It's probably not even a month now.
Wow.
It's probably not even 3 weeks. I don't even know, but maybe it's getting maybe close to a month.
Yeah.
But within that time frame of just saying I'm going to abide, let God lead, submit my plans and everything to Him, follow
Mhm.
His lead, look and listen, dude. The amount of results I start seeing happening, it's way more than a whole year of running ahead.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Way more than a
Mhm.
year of running ahead. And here's the thing, running ahead and burning out as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
back then
Mhm.
I could have said, "Oh, I made some progress," but I
Right.
didn't make the real progress I wanted to
Right.
make.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And
Right.
in this period, it is how I see things progressing. It's way more easier. The success is more exponential.
Yep.
And it's just a peaceful process that's leading to the success. And the actual success is that God sees that is right for me.
Mhm. Mhm. Definitely, bro. Definitely.